get started on making this bridal bouquet. The first flower I'm going to start with out of this whole assortment of flowers here are the spray roses. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want to cover up the form that I'm using here. And I've been making bridal bouquets for a really, really long time. And every time I get started, I always have the struggle of, do I want to use chicken wire or do I want to use, years ago, we would use Oasis forms and those like plastic holders. This is going way back to the 90s. Lately, everyone seems to prefer that really wild, airy kind of look, which is really easy to achieve with chicken wire. This is just a little chicken wire egg. I think you can probably see that. But I really like a hand-tied too. Like the hand-tied ones are really, really nice to work with. You're not, I mean, it can kind of go either way. I guess the stems can get a little bit damaged going into chicken wire. Hand-tied, if it's a really hot day, they might kind of stick together and wilt a little bit quicker. I mean, not that they will, but I don't know. So my gut is telling me to make this on chicken wire. Hopefully it's going to come out well that way. If it doesn't, we can always revert back to a hand-tied. So that's what I'm going to start with, though. I'm going to start with the spray rose. You'll probably hear the dog downstairs making a scene like he loves to do. So the other thing I didn't think of in filming this is normally I make these facing me and not you guys, so I'm going to try very hard to make this in such a way that it comes out looking pretty and you guys can still see how it's done. Now I'm just inserting these right into the chicken wire. And once again, I'm a professional. I've been doing this for a very, very long time, just under 30 years now, if we're being honest. I just realized that the other day. Wow. So it always looks really, really easy when a professional with a lot of experience makes these. Sometimes when you're trying to make them at home, you might struggle. It may not be as easy for you. And it just takes practice. I mean, they're really, people ask me all of the time, how do I become a florist? I want to be a floral designer. Or I'll see messages in florist groups of people saying, oh, I just decided last week I want to be a florist and I opened a shop. And wow, that's amazing. I mean, talk about being ambitious, but I find a lot of people get very frustrated early on and just expect this to be a piece of cake craft or trade to learn. And it's just not. It takes years and years of practice to really get the hang of it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just trying to even this out a little bit. Okay, next thing I'm going to add is going to be double stalk flower. See, this is starting to come along. It's just sort of giving a shape to the bouquet. The next thing I'm starting to work with are the double stalk flowers. Double stalk flowers smell so good. They smell a lot like clove or cinnamon, peppermint. I love this fragrance. But these can be a tricky flower because as you can see, this is kind of, it wants to go this way. So there's no way I'm going to put it in a bouquet just straight up and down because that would look really ridiculous. So rather than fight this poor little thing and wire it and, you know, give it a hard time, I'm going to go with what the flower wants. So as you can see in this bouquet, hopefully you can see this, I'm going to aim for putting this way so it kind of balances out these guys that are over here. So let's try to do that. Mari, my trusty camera woman, has just gone to wrangle the dog because he has found himself a plant saucer that he thinks is a frisbee. Spring has definitely sprung here in Flowerland because the dog is every plant saucer we have in our house and in our studio has to be protected because Rue the puppy is going to attack it. All right, so stock flower, I'm just going with it. I mean, it really does want to just bend in a certain way, and that's going to dictate the way that this bouquet is going. Now, if I had a client who showed me an inspiration photo of exactly what they wanted and it didn't look like this, I would probably opt to use something other than this stock, or that's when I'd probably make a phone call just to manage expectations and to see what their thoughts are, because this is kind of got more of a spray shape right now rather than an all-around kind of shape. And some people love that, some people don't. So always try to be mindful of what everybody's looking for. All right, the next one is going to be these Ranunculus because they are blown open. These are not teeny tiny little guys. it's been a warmer week, so they just really jumped into opening. These are like baby peonies. They're so pretty right now. Let's see. Thanks, Mari. All right. There's always a lot of responsibilities here in the flower shop. You never get to just be a designer or just be a social media person. There's dogs to wrangle. There's kids that need help with things. There's gardening chores. There's a little bit of everything here at all times. But we like to keep things interesting. It's never ever boring, I'll say that. Never boring. All right. So it's starting to come along, if you can see it. Ta-da! Starting to cover up the wire. And for this package, I'm really trying hard not to use greenery in it whenever possible. We spend so much money on greenery here, and every one of our designs, greenery, 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 which, okay, I get it. You want to cover up chicken wire. You don't want things to look yucky, but it's really expensive, and I am a flower girl through and through. I would much rather work with flowers than greenery, to be honest. Now this ranunculus, oh, it's got a couple little crummy petals on it, but it's still so pretty. No, I don't need a replacement. No, it's pretty. I'm gonna leave it and I'm gonna pull the petals off at the last minute. You guys see that one? There's like a couple little petals, but this is one of like the tough calls. Like I love the center of that, how you're starting to see the yellow, but I'm really not a fan of a couple little brown things. We'll troubleshoot that later. We have enough. We can replace it if we have to, but they're not all gonna be as pretty as that. All right, what else have we got to add here? Oh, there's so many pretty flowers. Let's add some Delphinium. We'll get some pops of blue. I always, when I'm working with Delphinium and bridal bouquets or bridesmaids, or even centerpieces, sometimes these little pieces at the bottom just don't make the cut. They're never even seen. So I save those. You can sometimes press them if you like. You can also add those for like cake decorations if you wanted to, or any other way to enhance a wedding. It's an expensive flower, but you get a lot of mileage out of it. In fact, sometimes I'll even cut the really, really long stems and use them, I'll get like 2 pieces out of them in a lot of designs, which is really, really nice. Oh gosh, I'm loving this palette. You see that? Just a little pop of blue. It's starting to come to life. And then we have all blue confetti. So pretty. All right. What else have we got here? Add a little bit more pops of blue. Your hands are your tools. I know a lot of beginners like to trim off all the pieces. Nah, I don't do that. But again, it looks very easy when I do it because I've done this for a very long time. So don't get discouraged if you're in the early stages of becoming a floral designer and you're going to school and you're trying to figure it out. It takes a while. It just takes a lot of practice. And I'm lucky that I worked for a lot of really great florists and floral designers who just teach me or have taught me through the years. And you never learn everything about this industry. You could be 100 years old and you're still learning something every single day. So don't get discouraged if you're still having a hard time getting the hang of this. It's not the easiest trade. And it's an expensive trade, honestly. If you make mistakes or you cut something too short and you need to get replacements, flowers are not cheap. Flowers really are a luxury item. It's like, oh no, that caviar has gone bad. I need to order more. And I think a lot of friends and family, they may not understand your struggles if you explain this to them. Okay, so this is coming. I honestly love this just like that. I mean, that is such a pretty little palette. I would be delighted if I had that. But I want to make this really beautiful and like super duper gorgeous. So we're going to keep adding to it. I'm going to add a few more of the bigger focal point flowers at this point. And then at the end, I use the bulkiest flowers first, and then I'll usually add the really wispy ones for air, like the Clematis over here. So this little beauty is getting tucked in here. Oh my goodness, hello pandas. Hello pandas, they're so fun. Love these guys. Welcome to the party. Oh yeah, these guys are just, they're perfection. Oh my gosh, these are pretty, pretty, pretty. These are in season right now, so they're exceptionally beautiful. I mean, just so, so, so pretty. But if you're a nervous type of bride or someone who just wants everything perfect all the time, these are not the flower for you because they can sometimes show a little bit of brown on the petals. And I used them recently for a wedding and they were perfect. I mean, there was nothing wrong with them, but the bridesmaid came up to me and she was very concerned. She said, "Oh my gosh, I had those at my wedding and they were all brown and it was terrible." And I've never had them turn all brown, but they can be a little bit finicky and show a little bit of brown on the petals, much like that Ranunculus I just showed you. Okay, sorry guys. There we go. That's how it's coming along. Let's see, how do we feel about introducing some burgundy? Oh yeah, this will be fun. This is gonna start to add to it some more. Now we're adding the Calla Lilies. Calla Lilies, just take a look at this. This is a really fun flower to work with. These were very, very popular years ago in the 90s. A lot of people wanted these in their weddings, and they were kind of like as popular as dahlias and peonies are now. Like every wedding you had, that was the big focal point flower. Everybody seemed to want Calla Lilies, and they're kind of forgotten about. And if you're a flower farmer and you're watching this, I know you poor things are dealing with your dahlia wars and climate issues and things like that. These are a great flower. A lot of my flower farmer friends, before being a flower farmer was really a thing, they grow these all the time. They're really easy to grow. They're almost like tulips kind of. So let's make it happen. Let's make these come back because I really, really enjoy Calla Lilies. And the nice thing is they're easygoing flowers. If it's hot, they still hold up really well. They are fine out of water for little periods of time. I should probably do a processing video on how to process them. There are some tricks that you need to know when you're processing them and getting them cut and in water, but they really are a very beautiful flower. And I feel like they should definitely be brought back into wedding work. And they should be grown. Like let's make that happen. The other flower I'm always campaigning for are the gladiolas. So many people forget that gladiolas are an option. It makes me crazy because I think they're so beautiful and versatile. There's a million different ways you can work with that flower. Okay. Next up, let's put some wispy flowers in just for a few, see where this is going. Oh, and you probably want to see it, so here we go. Ta-da! All right. Oh, Scabiosa, you are delightful. Pretty, pretty, pretty. And just like if you're watching this and it looks really easy, like, oh, it's a piece of cake to make this. It'll probably take me 5 minutes at home if I get the same ingredients. I am struggling making this because I never have to explain how I'm making bouquets as I make them and be filmed and try to stay on track and not go off to like la la land in my brain. I have a really overactive imagination. If you ever look at my report cards when I was a little kid, it always said, "I have such a great imagination, has so much potential, but is easily distracted." I'm definitely in that category. I think a lot of creative people are. All right, these little guys always come with straws on them, which are not necessary. Although I have seen florists send them out with straws on them. I don't really know why. I guess maybe if they're worried about them wilting, you could wire these scabiosas if you're worried. I kind of feel like wiring might be better than leaving straws on them, but that's just my opinion on it. Okay, Lysianthus are next. Love, love Lysianthus. These are so beautiful. The only thing is I do tend to trim off some of the little top pieces, these little guys here. Sometimes it just makes the flower look a little bit too clumpy, I guess, for lack of a better way to describe them. You don't want a clumpy bouquet. Okay. All right. It's starting to come over this way. Everyone see this? All right. I still hear that dog with that frisbee. Okay. Oh, I love these pops of color. And this year, there are a lot of requests for colorful weddings, which is nice for a change. We've kind of been stuck in that really romantic palette for a very, very long time of the blush and beige and colors like that, which are timeless. I understand they are so beautiful, but I think a lot of florists would agree with me when we say we would love to work with color once in a while, just change up our week a little bit, just a bit. All right. And now is the tricky part of making this bouquet. As you can see, I'm kind of struggling to get enough room between all of these flowers to fit these guys. Here we go. You see that? And I always leave my stems crazy long until the very end, and then I chop them because you can't put the length back on. And if you have to move these flowers around, much easier to do it at that point when the stems are still long. All right. Get a little bit more Lysianthus in here. And once again, I'm trimming off some of the greenery here because this is just too dense. You see that? How it's just really, really dense at the top there? That is not going to make, it's really not going to enhance the bouquet very much. So I'm going to take those off. And again, these little guys, at the end of this, you have all these cute little doodads laying around. So you could press those or use them for cake decorations or scattering on tables, whatever you like to do. No flower left behind here. It's kind of our motto. If we ever have scraps for anything, they're getting packed in the delivery van every single time. All right, it's coming along, coming along, coming along. Yeah, it's really important to me not to waste a lot of things. Another thing we always try to do is save the greenery. Sometimes you can reclaim the greenery, not so much on things like Clematis, although actually for bud vases, Clematis, that's what this is right here. They often have really gorgeous leaves that you can use for things like bud vases and all. So whenever possible, I try to repurpose things like that. If I know I can save a client some money by doing that, we will frequently repurpose greenery if it's really pretty. And we shot another video last year, actually, in Violet's ballet studio. And I just wanted to see how much greenery would be left over from all the stems on the floor. We used a lot of roses and a lot of, I don't think there was hydrangea in that, but we had a lot of leftover stems with lots of leaves on them. And I managed to we did these two floral crescent pieces, and I managed to cover the entire, almost the entire back of both crescents with reclaimed pieces of roses and all kinds of other flowers that we were working with that day. I think I had some dried eucalyptus, and it was great. It saved so much money. For our weddings, we still will bring things like ruscus and leather leaf and salal, products like that. But, you know, that was just a DIY kind of thing. We were just shooting that for a photo shoot. They were doing a fundraiser. So I was like, okay, let's see. You know, I've always wanted to try this. And you really can stretch your flowers out a lot by doing that in your flower budget. This one is wilty, that's sad. So, okay, that one would not go to the party, but the others would. So as you can see here, guys, while I'm like running my mouth about all this, all of the Clematis here is giving a lot of wiggle and movement to this. So you have the bigger focal point flowers like the roses and Ranunculus and the Calla Lilies, but then you add the Clematis and it's got a lot of movement and wiggle going on. And then as you can see for the back side here, we normally cover that up with greenery, and I realized we didn't bring greenery up here. So the other things you can do is cover it with things like roses, stock flower, items like that. I always keep in mind that when someone's walking down the aisle, they are going to be looking straight down into the bouquet. So I always try to have something really special almost in the back facing the bride or a bridesmaid, just to kind of give them something special to see. I mean, you always want the front of the bouquet to look beautiful for the photos, but I always keep that little spot in mind too. And I'm very superstitious, and I always believe in trying to bring as much good luck to our couples as possible. So I'll often hide little sprigs of myrtle and things in there that you can't even see in the bouquet, but I know it's going to bring them luck, and hopefully the weather cooperates and they live happily ever after. So that is almost complete. Let me see. All right, so here we go. Our finished bouquet. Mostly finished. I'm going to add the greenery to it. But first, I'm going to just wrap the bottom. At this point, I am happy with how it looks, so I am going to trim the stems quite a bit. So, just got my clippers. You won't see me use clippers all that often. I really prefer a knife and very old school like that. I know a lot of newer designers are really scared, but that is a skill, especially for those of you that want to freelance and have more of a competitive edge, I would say. In the floral world, you really want to learn to use a knife because you work so much faster. I always appreciate designers when they come to me if they're already trained to use the knife, because they do work a lot faster than the clippers, I find. Let's see. Whoa! Oh man, come on, get back in there. There's always one really sassy flower. But we love that one. Yeah, look at that, it jumped right out. Sometimes the flowers know where they want to go. All right, for whatever reason, this one's like, here I am, I'm the diva of the whole thing. That's fine. You get to stay. You can still go. Whoops. Get back. Whoa, it's really, this one's a teenager. It's a teenager flower. Oh my gosh, come on, guy. Wow, that's really giving me a run for the money. All right, so there we go. Now I'm just going to place this down really gently. Normally I have a little towel or something like that, but this, again, this is not for a client. This is for a photo shoot. So I'm just going to place that there. And I'm just going to edge the back of it with basic Calla leaves. These are nothing too special, but they will do a nice job and cover everything up. Here's that myrtle I was talking about. Love, honestly, oh, the myrtle is so much better. Let's just go with that. I'm going to use this for another project, but I don't care. It's just what this needs right now. It's the hero we need. Okay, that little piece can go here. This little piece, oh my gosh, because you want to cover up this yucky looking rubber band. I am a big fan of using rubber bands because if you grew up working for more like FTD flower shops and things like that, they always told you have to tape everything and then tape it again. And I can't stand taping bouquets. I feel like the flowers all change direction and where they're going when you use it. I really can't stand taped bouquets. Rubber bands, if you make a mistake, or like whatever we got going over here with the struggle of these flowers, we could still move them around if they're rubber banded. And sometimes I'll find even on delivery, your flowers will move towards the sun and they might be perfect when they come out of your cooler, but by the time you get to your venue, they have decided to face a different way. Looking at you, sunflowers, looking at you, tulips. You've done me wrong many times, you crazy little flowers. So once again, you want to use rubber bands. Now see how I'm just kind of covering that up, guys? As best as we can. Get these leaves off. Oh, this smells so good. Oh my gosh. If you're not using myrtle, you really need to. It smells heavenly and it brings luck. I'm convinced of it. One of those staples in our flower shop and my household, quite honestly. My kids, their friends will come over and be like, hey, do you have any of that lucky stuff? The answer is yes, I do. For taking a test, bring a little sprig of myrtle. Get some luck. All right. Worry about weather not cooperating on your wedding day. Just add some myrtle. Good to go. I think everyone needed that last October. Oh my gosh, last October was crazy. We had so much rain. It was just not fair. Really not fair. Okay. And myrtle's great out of water too. You don't really have to fuss over it. Most wedding greenery is just fine. Ruscus, leather leaf. This piece is too short. Even though I'm saying it doesn't need water. I'm going all heathery on it. Okay. Okay. All right. Again, it's for a photo shoot, so I'm really just kind of not being nearly as picky about this as I am for actual clients where I'm agonizing over, oh my gosh, there's one tiny, tiny, tiny little stem that's out of place. That drives me crazy until it's perfect. But I think this is really, really lovely. Can you guys see the back of that? So it's all covered up now. And then that way, on the wedding day, if the photographers want to take your bouquet off-roading or up a mountain or onto a rock wall or whatever to take photos of it, the back is going to be okay if they place it on rocks or couches or whatever. You don't have to worry about delicate little sweet peas or something like that in there. Okay. All right. Whoops. Come on, guy. Come on. Let's go here. There we go. All right. So here we have it. Ta-da! I think everyone at this point knows about ribbon scissors, but you should have a special pair of scissors designated just for cutting ribbons, not for cutting stems, not for cutting cardboard boxes, not for cutting printer paper, just for your bouquets. The other thing I wanted to mention is I have many colors of this blue chiffon ribbon, and I cannot decide what is going to look the best on this. Oh man, I just cut it. Okay, well, again, it's for a photo shoot. It's not for an actual real wedding this time around. I almost think we're just going to layer this and just see how it goes. Oh my gosh, yeah, layering. What do we think? This is a hot topic in every flower shop. After you work all day on your bouquets, everybody wants to put in their 2 cents about what ribbon color would look the best. Would this be the best? Would this be the best? It's hard to say. I'm just gonna put both on, and then as we're photographing it tomorrow, if we hate it or we say that's overkill or the light blue is much better than the cornflower blue, we can fix it. Not a problem. All right, ready? So here we go. Now normally, how am I doing this? I'm just gonna take this and go around and around. I like to do this many times right before we're delivering so things don't get wet, don't get spilled, nothing bad happens during transit. Squeezing these stems, and I'm going to cut this to about the length I think it should be. Okay, there's all our scraps from before, and I'm just going around it like this. One more time, like that. Oh my gosh, I love this. What a pretty, pretty bouquet. All right. And because I'm nervous and I'm being filmed, okay, I'm gonna have to probably I'm gonna have to retie this tomorrow because as you can see, one is much longer than the other, but I'm trying. Okay, so I've been at this almost 30 years and I'm still making rookie mistakes, but not ever. I've been a florist for that long, but I have not been being filmed being a florist for that long. So there's probably professionals out there who are great at doing this, but it's nerve-wracking. It's really hard, guys. I'm trying my best. So let's try it again. Take 2. Or maybe I'll just leave it like this and then fix it for tomorrow. Let's see. Let's try it like this instead. Wow, this is such pretty ribbon. Love chiffon. Oops. Of course, it's caught in our old barnwood here. Yeah, for a while we were doing the satin ribbon, but everybody really likes the chiffon lately. And I'm not even finding it's that much more expensive. You really buy it in bulk, like a lot of us have to. Oh my gosh, I love ribbon sashes. That was a really popular trend for a while, the ribbon sashes. People wanted crazy, crazy long ribbons. It was like as important as the flowers themselves. It was the length of the ribbon tails and how many types of ribbon. Again, why am I struggling with this bow? Maybe because it's layered. I don't know, guys. Wish us luck. Tomorrow we're gonna have the finished product. And then I'm still not entirely sure. There's all different ways you can finish your ribbon. You can leave it straight across like that. Some people like to angle it like that. Whoops. You see it that way? Or you can dovetail it just like that. There we go. Oh, I should probably show you. I just dropped it. You don't get to see it. There we go. It's really pretty. I tend to dovetail all my ribbons. And you can also get those funky, I forget what they're called, but they're, I think, some type of fabric scissors that prevent it from fraying. They're kind of zigzaggy. I used to do that on a lot of my ribbons. That was when it was really popular to have the crazy ribbon tails. We would kind of cut each one a little bit differently. Come on, stuff. But I feel like ribbons really look beautiful in photos. Especially on windy days. There's always like a little breeze when you're outside, it seems. Okay, so that's all for now, friends. Ta-da! Let me hold it, pretend. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.